Right, so um, we'll make a start. Firstly, welcome everyone to this seminar on teaching as a whole club activity. It's great to have you all here. Thank you for joining, and thank you also in advance for the various people who have agreed to speak as part of this seminar. I think we'd all agree that teaching is hugely important for the future of our clubs and for the future of Bridge as a whole in this country. Our figures show that on average, around 8% of club members uh, stop playing for one reason or another. Uh, about 8% of club members stop playing for one reason or another over a year. So so if a club is teaching and creating 8% new members, so if your club has about 100 members, if your club is creating 8 new members in a year, that is probably only keeping your numbers static. So to grow, you potentially probably need to be doing more than that 8%. So it shows that teaching is hugely important. And in this seminar, we'll be looking at that. And also looking at how we can expand our teaching to try and exceed that 8% so that we can grow the number of people playing bridge in this country. So I will hand over to Mary, who is doing the first slot, talking about teaching as a whole club activity.
Hello, Mary Cousins here. I've been talking to a lot of you, and two things have become apparent. The first is that we need to grow, and the second is that we need to treat teaching as a whole club activity. So, bridge clubs around the country on average lose around 8% of their members every year. So, if we're going to grow, we need to attract more than that number. One thing that successful clubs do, is that they treat teaching as a whole club activity. So this, by whole club activity, I mean there's a team of teachers or teacher plus helpers of various kinds. We need people to promote the class, people to sort out the venue. We also need people to prepare the boards and to sit with beginners at the table. So where to look for helpers? A key thing to remember is that what's needed here is empathy rather than bridge skills. Some clubs find that previous students fit this bill. Another thing that successful clubs do is they have a central point for communications. This frees up a lot of time for the teacher, as they don't need to be doing the registrations or chasing up inquiries or cancelling lessons if the teacher is sick and so on. What happens if you're not currently teaching? Well, can you point to a solution nearby or to an online solution? Or maybe you could collaborate with another local club. Why not talk to your county to see if they can help set this up? When it comes to promotion, we are doing our bit. We've started an advertising campaign for bridge classes in the autumn, and we've gathered around 200 of these classes, and we've set about an advertising campaign to promote them using a microsite and specifically aimed at new to bridge audiences. If you haven't already told us about your class, please do, and we'll add it to the list. So, we know there are lots of obstacles to putting on a good teaching program, but many clubs face the same issues. So let's talk and learn from each other. Here's what a very successful club is doing. They're attracting more players from the club to become teachers. This is Richmond Club. By the way, if you see some good bridge content like this, remember to like it, to share it, to comment. We all need to raise the profile of bridge around the country. So that's my email address. Get in touch if I can help. I certainly will. We can talk about teaching at your club and the barriers that you face, and maybe I can share what other clubs are doing. If you have a specific question, let me know and I'll see if I can find an answer. Okay, thanks.
Right, so next we have Nikki Bainbridge, who's going to talk to us about why teach and some other topics.
So lots of you know me. I've been teaching for over 20 years, I'm shocked to discover, mostly in a club environment, online during COVID, but face-to-face as much as I can because I think it works better. And I wanted to talk about the role of helpers. I like calling them helpers rather than teaching assistants because I think if you're an ordinary member of a club, it's a bit easier to imagine yourself as a helper than as a teaching assistant. But it's very much, I'm sure, the same general idea. And the availability of such people is a huge advantage that clubs have for all sorts of reasons. So I'm drawing particularly on my experience. I mean, I talk to build up my own club, but I also work with Market Harborough, and I'm very proud of them that the following sort of a bit of demonstration and leadership from me, they became a teaching club and they've now got 2 cohorts of people learning, and that was from having nobody who'd ever even thought about teaching before. Teach a lot at Kenilworth, where they again have recovered. I mean, they're one of the biggest clubs in the country, but COVID hit them very hard, but they're making a great recovery now with players, particularly that have learned since COVID. And I've mentioned Warrington there. I see Jim Steele is here. So I'm only going to say I was very honoured to go up and have a meeting with them to discover that I had the distinct impression that about 1/3 of the club was actually become teachers and were contributing to a big upset at Warrington. So well done, Jim. And I know he's written an article at least sharing their experience. So why helpers? Well, my belief when you're teaching is at least 50% of any lesson should be the players playing themselves. Few players enjoy being lectured or even question and answer. Most of them really want to get to playing as quickly as they can. And as soon as you've got more than 2 tables as a teacher, you're outnumbered and you can't be involved in the detail at every table. But if you have a helper at each table, they can watch the details, they can answer questions, they can recap the learning points for you. And of course, every lesson should have its learning points that are planned. And if it's appropriate, they can extend the learning. And they represent the club. They demonstrate its attitude. If they're friendly, then the learners think the club is going to be friendly, and they become someone the learners know and might meet when they venture into a more playing session, practice or proper or whatever. So helpers are tremendous. To make them effective, I think first thing you have to do is try and get them there before the lesson, brief them on the plan and the learning points. I found when people were new to helping me, they would turn up, very carefully early, and I get a chance to brief them. But the more confident they got, the later they turned up, and the more I had to just thrust the points into their hand in a document and hope. I always give them notes on the hands that are going to be played with the intended options and the points in the play that I want them to watch for and make if they get a chance. So if you give them something they can prepare, they're much more effective and they're much more comfortable. I always ask them to stick to my approach to the topic. Many of them would approach it differently. And I just say to them, please don't confuse the issue with the way that you would play this. Just please go with the way that I do it. And I ask them to try not to get led into other areas. As I have found, you're giving a lesson on raising partners suit to people and it's about lesson 4, and you find one of the helpers is telling them about Blackwood, and it's not going to help, because I'm sure anybody who's ever taught learners very quickly glaze over and stop listening if it's all too much. Here's an example of the sort of thing that I've got with every lesson. So this is a lesson on opening week twos. This is the details of board 7. This is how I expect the auction to go and why. And every helper has a copy of all the boards and the commentary on the boards so that they know what it is that I'm expecting them to achieve. And I find this works really well. For the helpers, it's a social occasion, you know, it's a chance to get out and talk about bridge. It's a chance to give back to the club. And many of them are only too happy to do that. It's often a chance to learn something. I mean, I have had helpers tell me that they've learned a lot doing the lessons, and they get to take part in the satisfaction of teaching. And they soon see, as all of us, I think, know, that wonderful moment when a learner gets something and they realize what they're doing and why they're doing it. And they are very happy as a result. So I think there's a lot in it for the helpers. And if you can just get them there for a lesson, many of them will come back again and again to help. Finally, you were promised a checklist. So I've done your checklist when I think you're a club. These are the broad categories, and you would obviously put a lot more detail in them. But I think the most important thing is to have a plan, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. Budget, get the money straight early on, what you're going to charge, how much you're going to pay out for whatever you're going to pay out for, and communicate that widely across the club, across places where learners might come from, again and again and again. You need to sort out a venue. Oh, you all know different things about venues. Personally, I'm a low-tech teacher. I like to go out with a red felt board and sticky cards because then I don't worry if there's no power or no internet or anything else. Advertising, somebody to take bookings, as Mary said, a big advantage of teaching in a club context is usually someone else will take the bookings and deal with the queries. Then you need to put your course together. You need your teacher, your helpers, your curriculum, what materials you're going to use. All of that is very much as per circumstances. I'm a big believer in people can teach if they know a little bit more than the people they're teaching and if they have empathy. I was pleased to see that word in Mary's presentation, because if you've got empathy as a teacher, you can do good. I think we've all seen teachers that are really good players, but don't understand why the learners aren't getting it. And frankly, you know, you're much better with somebody who doesn't know everything, but is quite happy to say, "Oh, I don't understand this either. Let's work it out together." And the other thing I would say, because I still find it gets me every time, is you get into about lesson 3, it's all going really well. The learners have committed and they're keen, and they start asking you what's going to happen at the end of the course. And I found it's really important to have a good answer to that, because if you look vague, you might risk losing them when you've got them on the hook. So I always do recommend, you know, before you start your course, really, do have the answer to what am I going to do when this set of lessons finishes, because then you've got a plan and you've got the ability to keep these people that you've put a lot of effort into sharing the love of bridge with. So I've gone through that quite fast, but I hope it was interesting. And I'm going to stop my share and hand you back to Jonathan.
Excellent. We will have a chance for general questions at the end. Does anyone have any questions for Nikki at this point?
Nope. Great.
Okay, we'll save it all for the end. Okay, so we'll move on to Ned, who's going to talk about Learn Bridge by Playing.
I think I'm slightly cynical about the whole authorized, standard, received way of teaching. I think people show an interest in bridge because they want to play bridge. They're not signing up to learn bridge, they're signing up to play bridge. and our role should be to get them playing as quickly as possible. About 23 years ago, to be exact, I'd done a hotel weekend, and one of the people who came said, "Oh, some of my friends would like to learn bridge. Can you organize a weekend for them?" And 17 people came, and we had a wonderful time. And we learned enough of the basics of bridge in Saturday and Sunday morning to be able to play a small novice supervised duplicate on Sunday afternoon. And the formula was so successful that I've carried on that forever. Um, and I'm beginning to think in my old age that even a weekend is a bit long to learn bridge. It doesn't take long to learn the moves at chess. It doesn't take long to learn moves at any other game. Somebody in the game shows you, you pick it up as you go along. Why is bridge so different that we have to learn so much system in order to go forward? Get people playing as soon as possible. I'll go through the agenda for Learn Bridge in a weekend. So Learn Bridge in the weekend, the whole thing in one weekend. What I basically do is on Saturday morning, we just go through the mechanics of the game. I do use mini bridge. They have 4 set mini bridge deals to work their way through, having had a number of freehand ones. We very quickly on we talk about the scoring, who wins and how do you win at bridge. Um, the original form of bridge is rubber bridge, which many of you now no longer play, but it's the original form of bridge, and you win by winning 2 games out of 3, like a tennis match. Um, if you bear that in mind, they don't find the scoring difficult. Just think any other game, get a bit of paper and race to 100. It's normal in card games. If you don't make bridge scoring sound complicated, they don't know any different. They'll pick it up. Okay. Saturday afternoon, I actually do an opening leads unit, which I find stays with them and is very good. We talk about leading honours. I never mention the magic words fourth highest, although there's always somebody in the group who'll bring it up. They don't know the rule of 11, so don't tell them about fourth highest because you'll find they're leading the 2 when they have ace, king, queen, 2. And against the suit as well. Okay. Saturday afternoon, we're ready for bidding by that. We've played quite a lot of hands already. There's cards at the table all the time. I doubt whether I've used a flip chart or a screen the whole time so far. We're sitting at the bridge table. If there's 2 or 3 tables, I may use a flip chart, but on the whole, they're playing with cards under reasonable instruction from me. Saturday afternoon, we talk about one no trump. By this time, they're used to the idea that 25 points will give them enough tricks to score a game. Ref the scoring we did earlier. Okay. So we then have a discussion. I put up a 13-point balanced hand and I invite them to think about how they might bid it. And they come up with the idea of one no trump. And then I change it to a 16-point balanced hand. And I said, how would you bid that? And they say 2 no trumps. And so we correct that. And we'd say, look, you could also open that one no trump. What's the alternative? In either case, the alternative will be to bid your longest suit. And you end up by making a choice between the weak no trump and the strong no trump. I don't hide the fact that there's only one true way. I get them to consider the problem as a whole. And steer them, because we're in England, towards the weak no trump. The weak no trump is slightly under pressure now from all the American bridge that we play online. But one of the things you should bear in mind is when you're playing a pairs competition, the weak no trump is more effective than the strong no trump. So they're going to be playing mostly pairs. Keep them to the weak no trump. Don't be tempted in teaching the strong no trump system. Okay, they should know it. Make the house standard weak no trump. Sunday morning they've come back. They've played a lot of bridge on Saturday. They're buzzing. We have a couple of no trump hands to practice, including weak takeouts. At that point, I probably introduce transfers. The transfers aren't complicated if you don't know any different. Everybody plays that way. They've got to learn it at some point. Why not learn it as soon as they encounter the problem, which is you've got a weak hand and a long suit opposite the one no trumpet. Use transfers. Okay, no problem. And we then talk about one of a suit with some practice deals. The responses they meet include limit bids and change of suit, forcing responses, and the one no trump dustbin bid. We play a few when we suddenly we run out of time. Sunday afternoon, the lessons have stopped. New people have come into the club. Typically, the people who did the course the previous time round, and one or two people who are our regular mentors. Nikki's talked about helpers. These are my helpers. They come in as more experienced mentors, willing to help with the new players, on side with the way I teach, which is I'm very grateful for. And we then set up, usually from a 3-table group, we get a 5 or 6-table mini duplicate, and we play 12 hands duplicate, and the hands are real bridge hands, and they just cope. They know the mechanics of bridge. They know the basics of whose turn it is and what they should be doing. They've got some idea of the tactics, and whoever the mentor is at the table can lean over and help them play if necessary. If they meet a 2-club hand, we haven't covered that in the lesson. Somebody can say, "Oh, you need a bid. It's the monster bid," and you push them in the right direction. And the end of the afternoon, they played a game of bridge, and they feel they own bridge, and there's a huge amount of momentum there, and they can't wait to come back and play more. And what would mortally offend me is the idea that they would then go and take lessons. I've set them up so the next step is playing. There's me standing up with my hair at a Learn Bridge in a Weekend in Bristol. It's a 10-year-old photograph. It's the only one I could find which had got me in it, and I'm sure there were 3 tables there. There's a link to an article the EBU published that I wrote. It's on their site about how learning bridge in the weekend is very good. If yeah, they can follow up with a link in the follow-up. This is Abby Smith. Abby Smith's got this fantastic video out there how she taught 4 people in about an hour and a half and left them playing. Now, she taught them bridge. She didn't teach them system. She taught them bridge. And she left them playing by themselves, playing bridge by themselves, full bridge, not mini bridge, full bridge with bidding boxes and everything. This is her at the beginning. And her wonderful instruction to them is if they have a better than average hand, start the bidding. And that was the only bidding system instructions that Abby gave. I think that's so wonderful that they are going to have the rest of their life to get better, to find out about the system, to develop ideas with their teacher and their partner. But you don't need much bridge in order to play bridge, and playing is what it's all about. By contrast, this is a slide from the EBU teaching site. I don't see a card table. I don't see any playing cards. I find it very difficult to find that there'll be an effective takeaway from this kind of teaching. So sorry and all that, but I think cards in the hand is a much better way. Okay. Exit strategy after a weekend or a taster session is supervised play. And this is one of my supervised play groups. Some of them are not very experienced. There's all sorts of ages at the back because we're in London and we get young adults interested as well. But the players play while the tutor circulates. So players are actually playing. If they have any queries, they can send for me, and I will explain not only what to do, but how they should be thinking and why they do it. And this way, they gather experience. And just think, you don't take Monopoly lessons to play Monopoly, do you? So you just open the box, and it's by next Christmas that you know about stations and hotels on Mayfair and all the rest of it. And so with bridge, you have to serve your apprenticeship. You have to play a stock of hands in order to get the experience. And it in my opinion, it's much more fun to play random hands and meet problems and be able to discuss it with a teacher as you go along, and you just add that to your portfolio of experience. So I'm all in favor of supervised play sessions. And I think every club needs to focus on the fact it's got an ongoing supervised play session, if only to offer somewhere that it can absorb anybody who's been taught in the conventional way. Okay. Supervised play sessions. This is how I run them. We deal at the table hands. They're not preset. They just shuffle and deal in the regular way. I believe it's important to keep score. Suppose you go to a bridge club and you come back and you say to your young connections, you've played bridge. They will say, did you win? Okay, so there we are. There's a link to the Abby Smith video. They'll say, did you win? And the next question is, say, how much you won. If you haven't kept score, you won't know whether you won or lost. Okay, I recommend rubber bridge scoring. Get to the 2 games. Part scores are valid. Incidentally, if you play mini bridge, rubber bridge scoring is great for mini bridge. If they say 8 tricks, they get 60 below the line, and that helps them understand bridge scoring, and it'll teach about vulnerability, arithmetic sacrificing. As they get a little bit better, if the numbers are right, introduce occasional duplicates. 12 boards are sufficient when they start. Increase board numbers, and we let the players score the duplicate on their own phones. Victor Lesk, key bridge enabler in London, has written an app, a very good app for the phone called Brian, stands for Bridge on iPhone and Android. They can download it for free and they can score the duplicate on their phone. And if you've got a preset set of deals, they can see what they could have, would have, should have played there. Nearly done. Here's another way to start bridge. I've got my supervised play group going. It's a weekly supervised play. Okay. They're all relatively at the beginning, so they're all learning still. But the buddy way to start bridge is, for example, Emma rings up or emails or WhatsApps and says, can I come and play bridge? And I say, yes, of course. So she comes along. I put her with somebody, let's say Eric, who's playing away, and Eric will explain simply to her how play is proceeding. A couple of hands later, the mentor gives the buddy the cards to hold and plays with the mentor's help. So you'd imagine you watch for 2 hands, you then get given the cards to hold. The next hand after that, you have the responsibility of picking up and sorting the cards, and your Eric figure behind you will be telling you what to do. And quickly you get the mechanics of bridge and the rhythm of bridge, and you see what's going on at bridge. You don't know much about bidding or anything but at the end of the session, the buddy will go home saying, I played bridge tonight. Okay, and after 2 or 3 sessions of that, the buddy will be up to speed in supervised play. Okay. Summary: bridge is easy to learn. Get new players playing as quickly as possible. Do not confuse teaching bridge with teaching system. Think of yourself as a bridge enabler rather than a teacher. Introduce modern methods from the outset. Don't teach stuff that will need to be untaught later. And the really key point, the ongoing supervised play group is your primary classroom. Okay. They came to play bridge, not to learn. Okay. So I'm done. So
excellent. Thank you very much, Ned.
So did I go on too long?
No. Thank you. And having been involved in Learnbridge in a weekend myself, I can definitely commend it as a great way to learn.
Yeah. My most famous bridge player who took Learnbridge in the weekend was Kath Steins, who now plays for England Ladies. My most famous real person who came to Learnbridge in the weekend, Richard Osman, came with his lady friend at the time. So there you are. And he never touched a card since because he's too busy.
Excellent. Right, we did have Richard Crute next on the agenda, but we'll just swap it around. Tony Charrett is going to present first because he is in the middle of teaching and has kindly stepped away for a minute to come and present here. So thank you, Tony. The floor is yours.
That's okay. Mary asked me just to talk a little bit about how we organise bridge where we are. I started teaching about 12 years ago, and we have a number of different venues. And so we bought a van and we transport the kit around in the van. So basically, I'm now running bridge at 5 different venues. And we have one set of equipment which goes from venue to venue. Now, Mary thought this might be useful if you had a county or a large town which had a number of bridge clubs that were in trouble, where one person could perhaps run the entire thing, and therefore make sure that everybody has all the smaller clubs continue, because it is important they're located around the place as well as in one place. I think the move is what's happening is things are going towards a single spot. We've got little clubs, sorry, we have Wimbledon and Richmond, and what we find there is there's almost a bridge desert around them because the little clubs can't compete, and the big clubs just swallow everything up. But so it's just that I thought. I mean, it's a simple link. It's not a small van. It is quite comfortable. I've got 14 tables in the back. We have enough bidding boxes and things, and got one dealing machine for effectively what we're now running 7 sessions a week. So it all works pretty well. I would echo Ned's things from the last session. I just caught a bit of it. But we are intending to teach bridge quicker. I'm an eBed trustee, and one of the prime thing is we want to teach bridge simpler and quicker. And I think that is well on its way. All the students that I started last October were playing by the end of May, so in the club. So I think it's entirely doable. It's just the club members have to bear in mind they'll make mistakes. And I think that's part of it. And we don't allow assisted play to have any notes or anything. They have to play the hands, and we might talk about them afterwards. But that's I think key for a lot of what we're trying to do going forward. Is that sufficient? Are we?
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony.
Okay, brilliant. I will leave you. I'm back at our break, but I think you might be done by then.
All right, great. Thank you, Tony. We'll next go to Richard Crute.
I'd echo what Ned and Tony say, that we do want to eBed. We do want to get people playing bridge more quickly, and our juniors, in fact, on our Thursday afternoon online club, they'll come from knowing no bridge at all, and we do supervised play with them, and they love it, and we don't give them formal teaching. In terms of our teacher training courses, if anybody's interested in having a teacher training course, we have just trained 8 new teacher trainers, and they will be looking to start running teacher training courses as soon as possible. And so if there are any club members who would like to become teachers, then the mechanism is to get in touch with Clive Turner, either ring him, email him through our website, or there is a pre-registration button where they can register interest in a course, and then we will try and generate a course in their area. The format of the courses has changed recently. It's a half day online, followed by a day face to face, followed by half a day online. I went to the Worcester course and to watch the mini lessons, which I think are the face to face part, which I think is the best bit. And they all knew each other. It was Worcestershire really deciding, and Worcester Bridge Club deciding they're really going to get their act together and do some teaching. And I'm next door in Herefordshire, so I knew most of them. And there was a lovely atmosphere. And there's no pass or fail on the course. It was just the individuals going up and doing a short mini lesson, and everybody making some very constructive, very friendly comments. And we so in terms of some of the offers we have, in the spirit of helpers or assistant teachers, eBed has a 2-for-1 offer. So if a player from a club, be it affiliated or unaffiliated, would like to go on a teacher training course, a second person can go with them. They might want to be a fully fledged teacher, or they might want to become a helper or assistant. And actually, most of our places are in fact free. The EBU pays for delegates to go on the courses for a club every 2 years. And so I think that's it. So we've got a couple of courses lined up, one in Cumbria and one in Lancashire. There's one in Derbyshire we're trying to set up, a couple in London, and as I said, We've got new teacher trainers for our new style course, and we've got plenty of teaching capacity or trainer capacity. So we do want to find more teachers and put more courses on.
Excellent. Thank you, Richard. Right, we're next going to go to Sam Kelly, who can't actually be with us right now. So she has recorded a video, which I'm going to play, and hopefully the sharing will work better than before. So 1 second.
Good morning, everyone. Today I would like to talk to you about the role of online promotion in growing your club membership. First of all, what do we mean by promotion? This is anything that your club does to promote itself to new members. Today, we'll be looking at the role of advertising using Facebook and Instagram. The EBU is taking a two-pronged approach to advertising on Facebook, or Meta. Over the past few weeks, we have been running a pilot advertising campaign on Facebook, utilising the templates created in Canva. These pilot campaigns have been advertising upcoming open days and beginner bridge classes for a small number of clubs around the country. The pilots have helped us to gauge the best way to run an advertising campaign on Facebook and how best to reach the most people. We have also launched a national advertising campaign on Facebook to promote classes and open days starting this autumn. If you have not yet done so, you can still add your event using the form. There'll be a link in the chat. The adverts direct people to our new microsite, enjoybridge.co.uk, and from there, people will be able to quickly and easily find events happening in their area. Please check out enjoybridge.co.uk for yourself. If you find any errors in your club's data, please email mary.cousins@ebu.co.uk. The email will be in the chat. You can also supplement the national campaign by running your own local advertising campaigns, or simply by posting about your upcoming events on Facebook. We now have a small but growing library of templates and stock images. You can find this on the EBU website homepage under the Clubs and Counties section, Promotional Materials. As mentioned in the previous webinar, in order to use Canva, you will need an account. You can sign up for free on their website, canva.com, or if you have trouble signing up or using Canva, you can download the templates as image files from the EBU stock photo library. The images in the stock photo library are free to use for all affiliated clubs. When taking your own images, please check out the Club Photography Guide. This is a handy tool to help you get the best photos for your club. If your club has any photos that you would be willing to share, please email them to me, sam@ebu.co.uk. Please note, you should have written approval from your members to use their photos, and if in doubt, please refer to the EBU GDPR Q&A and information about data protection for clubs and counties that is on the website or also linked in the chat. Also on the promotional materials page, you will find previous promotional materials, including posters, leaflets, postcards, and designs. Some of these are still available as printed copies. If you would like any paper copies, please email me sam@ebu.co.uk. The only charge is the price of postage. On a separate note, in creating adverts on Facebook, we have a clear visualization of why it's important to make your website mobile friendly. The above chart shows data from just one of our adverts for the pilot advertising an open day. The chart shows that our advert reached a total of just over 14,000 people. So why is having a mobile friendly website important? Let's look at the breakdown of the numbers. Looking closer, we can see that the figures above account for views on both desktop and mobile devices. If we look at the views on desktop compared to mobile, we find some surprising results. As you can see here, the figures for desktop views are less than 200 total, but if we look at the mobile figures, you can see that they are much higher. These three charts really highlight how many people use their mobile for Facebook. It also shows how important it is to make your website as mobile friendly as possible. If people find your website from a Facebook advert and click on the link to your club site, if they cannot find the information they are looking for as soon as possible, you may have missed an opportunity for a new member. We do have a guide for making the most of your Bridge website, making it mobile friendly. There will be a link in the chat. Thank you.
Right, excellent. Thank you, Sam, even though she's not here. So one important topic, which is classroom to clubroom, and how to keep the player, well, how to move the players who you have taught into club sessions. That's been touched on a bit already. The EBU has produced a video on that topic, which you can see here. I'm not going to play it for you now, but yes, that video is available on the EBU YouTube channel. So I would recommend you to go and have a look. And I also wanted to show you there are a number of useful videos on the EBU YouTube channel, as well as the recording of all the previous seminars, such as this one. So if we just have a quick look, I'll just show you. So here is the YouTube channel. You can see here you've got the club seminars. So all the seminars are there. There is, in fact, a full-length seminar on Classroom to Clubroom as well. And then there's lots of good things. These are great, these videos about TD rulings. We've also got some other helpful videos. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. I was trying to get the full playlist so I can show you. There we go. So this is this one that says 3-table gentle duplicate. This is talking about if you're trying to run a normal section and a gentle section at the same time, and you want to run them both together through one computer, but run it as 2 sections. That video will explain how to do that. And then we've also got this one here on appendix tables. So the idea of appendix tables is that if you've got a regular session going on, but then you've got a couple of tables of players who have just learned and are more comfortable playing among themselves rather than being part of a main duplicate, this is how they can play. They can play in the same room as the main duplicate, play the same cards, and they can even put their scores in on the bridge mates so they can see what the results were in the main section and see what they might have done on the board. But they will just be playing among themselves. And at the end, the results from the main section can exclude those players so that they are not impacting the results in the main section. So you can have a look at that video for more information on that. But I just wanted to show you there are lots of useful videos on the EBU YouTube channel, so I would recommend having a look. So I think that is the end of the content. So we can now move on to Q&A. Just before we do, I'd like to apologise again for the issue with the slides at the beginning. But we will make all the slides from all the presentations available. We'll send those out afterwards. And the recording will of course be on the YouTube channel. So if anyone's got any questions, please in Zoom you should be able to raise your hand or just indicate in some other way. Mike Ingle in Oswestry can't speak. You'll need to unmute, but then.
Oh, good morning, everybody. I was looking at the NGS grading system for various reasons recently, and one of the things they mention on that, with respect to new players, is the idea of introducing a handicap system. We did a few years ago, before COVID, have a handicap system, and it was abandoned after because it didn't seem to be working terribly well. I'd be grateful for people's views on this matter, and any referrals to how we could make what was our previous system better than it had been. Okay, over to you.
Yes, I think running handicap games using the NGS grades, I think is quite popular, and it usually works quite well. There may be a few players where the handicap needs some adjusting, if they're hiding their grade, or obviously if they're players who have just started who haven't yet played enough boards to have a grade. Yeah, but I'm not sure what the issues were that you found, and I'd be interested if other people on the call have views.
One of the issues that we found was that some players were, I don't think necessarily deliberately, but positioning themselves with other players so that they always ended up with a very beneficial handicap, seemed to be to the detriment of others. Maybe it's the way we set it up, and I need to have a look at the NGS recommendations about that really before I can to pursue that any further. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean we've been using it at Durham Bridge Club where I'm involved, and I think it can be very good, and I think it can be I think it can be a real motivation for less experienced players to see themselves at the top or near the top of the leaderboard.
Sure, sure. Can I ask a second question? Is that
Yes.
allowed? And this is when new players are people who recently joined the club. They're new to Bridge as well. They're not just new to the club. And if I'm correct, if my understanding is correct on this, then if you have someone who is a beginner, and someone who's mentoring them, the mentor's NGS grade is not affected, provided the beginner has played less than 150 boards. I don't know about you, but I feel that 150 boards is only about 6 sessions, and that's nothing like enough. If you then start penalising the mentor NGS grade because somebody's reached the magic number of 151 boards, that is not encouraging people who are experienced but are a bit sensitive about their grades.
I understand. I mean, yes, I mean, obviously the hope is that once the player has played those 150 boards, they will have a grade that is reflective of their ability, and so the score that the mentor and the mentee need to score in order to achieve par should be suitably lower. The threshold used to be 300, and there was a lot. The overwhelming wish was that it was lower because players wanted the sessions to start counting for them sooner, which is why it was lowered to 150. The other thing to mention is that the club can choose to have code 12 sessions, which aren't processed for NGS at all, if they wish to. So they just need to make the players aware that that's going to be the case, but that is an option that's available to all clubs.
Thank you.
I think Tish, oh, we've got a couple of people. So we'll go to Tish Hopkins first and then to Andy.
Hi, everyone. I think there's been some very useful things come out of that. Actually, the mentoring thing that's just been raised by Mike is of interest because we have tried in the past to run a mentoring session with some good people versus improving people, and people won't do it. They're absolutely terrified. They don't want their NGS lowered. So I'm very interested in your last comment there, Jonathan, about having sessions that possibly aren't NGS rated, because I'm very, very keen to provide mentoring for people. So I think that's something that really is quite important for our club. And the other thing, the other issue that we've got at Olicana, which is in Oakley, is getting people. We have tremendous teaching. We're full for the years 1 and 2, so we have a wonderful teaching program there. We have also lots of new people coming. We lose some people. I don't know whether it's eight people, 8% a year, but we lose people once they've done their 2 years. Sometimes people just want to play socially, and we understand that. We also run a lot of sessions, and we're introducing a new one just for playing. They won't be NGS rated because they initially, but we have a lot of those. We have about 3-4 a week, and our problem is getting people to move from these novice, if you like, sessions that are not master pointed rated into the master pointed sessions. And that's our biggest gap at the moment, is persuading people to move from there. They stay there for years. Some of them will just play for years in one place, and I think they're never going to move. But there are others. It's building that confidence to move into the master pointed sessions. And what I've done is, as chair, I do a newsletter every couple of months. And my one for this month has been a pathway to moving through. You know, when you're a bit more experienced, try these sessions. I'm also running myself a session which I'm calling Embed Your Learning. There'll be, as an assumption that you've done all the basics, you can play bridge more or less, and it's really to give confidence, to build confidence. So the first session is all on defense tips, because we play defense 50% of the time. So it's trying to get people to think, what kind of tips should we be doing? And as somebody earlier mentioned, that when they were giving a handout, I'm going to give a handout with all the notes, all the hands, and the playing, the bidding and everything that needs to be considered. And I'm also looking to try and get helpers to come and help me, because I think that point is absolutely really valid. I mean, I've got one offer so far, but there are a number of people. I've got 4 tables booked, which is fantastic. That's 16 people all prepared to come for 10 sessions. I said to one off, 10 sessions. And they're booked in. And a few people said, can I come? Can I drop into 1 or 2 because I can't come to them all? Fantastic. And I'm hoping I'm offering to play with them all in a master pointed session if they want it. So my NGS, I just forget about it. So anyone that can help me in terms of thinking how I can do more, I'd love to hear.
Excellent. Well, I think, yeah, I mean, if you haven't already, it may be worth looking at the Classroom to Clubroom video as well, because that may have some useful tips as to how other clubs have addressed some of these challenges.
Also, Jonathan, we've tried, and I've tried to persuade people to run this parallel event, if you like, where you've got newer people playing in one room, not necessarily playing all the boards, because you ran a session on that some time ago. And I just cannot. People are absolutely saying, no, we don't want to do it. And it's such a shame. I can't. Somehow I haven't got the skills to persuade people how good it would be.
We've put 2 videos into the chat. One is Classroom to Clubroom video. The other is the appendix table that we mentioned earlier. Maybe that would help. Both of those would go towards that.
I'll have another look at those as well. But it's just persuading people to run it, and they said don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we'll go to Andy.
On mute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My question's a bit more basic. My club has never taught during its existence from the 1960s, but now we want to start trialing some teaching sessions at the club. We're sending a couple of members to Preston for training. We're trying to open our club for one afternoon a week for teaching. My question is a basic one. Do all clubs charge for teaching? And if they do charge, how much is considered reasonable? And at what point do we start directing learners to join the EBU? That's about it.
That's a big question, and I'd like to take time to explore that. We can answer it very briefly by saying that different clubs take a different approach. Some clubs pay the teachers. In others, the students pay the teachers directly. In some clubs, the teaching is run by volunteers. It's a big question, and it's something that you'll need to explore as a club. And I'd be very happy to have a conversation with you and suggest what other clubs have done. Yeah, what was the other bit?
I think it's going to be run by volunteers. It's going
Yeah,
to
yeah, that's fabulous. What was the other question? Oh, how much to charge? Yeah, yeah.
It's reasonable.
Well, some people say if you don't charge, they don't value it. Yeah, it varies hugely from £5 to £10. You know, if you're not paying your teachers, you can afford to make it much more accessible, and it depends on the priority. And so, yeah, should we have a conversation afterwards and we can explore the whole thing? Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to have an answer to that as well, because I was going to ask the same question.
Okay, well, perhaps somebody who's very experienced. Nikki, what would you suggest? If Nikki's still here.
Just while Nikki's unmuting, I can say that in Durham, we're starting our teaching in September, and the first session is free. There's a taster session, and then they will pay £30, which is for the whole course, including materials and refreshments. So they're paying that, yeah, effectively £3 a lesson.
Right.
Yes,
Does that include buying the red book?
We're we're not using the red book, but the £30 includes all the materials they'll need.
Right.
yes, I do the same as Jonathan. I have a free one first lesson, and then they can decide to pay for the rest of the course. And we're doing £50 for a 10-lesson course altogether, including materials. But again, we don't use the red book. We use online stuff, so it's very reasonably effective. It varies an awful lot. The other club in rugby doesn't charge at all for the whole of the first year because they can afford to. But I have heard of prices as high as, I think the highest I heard was in the West Country, where it was £150 for 10 lessons plus the books, you know. And I think to some extent it depends on the prosperity of your community.
Yes, I agree with that. Yes. There was an article in one of the EBU magazines about, I can't remember who wrote it, but essentially it was saying, don't undervalue yourself as a club teacher, and don't charge too little. And the other point made in the article was if you get the students to pay an amount of money up front, they're more likely to keep coming to the classes rather than pay as you go, a £5 or £3 or something, pay as you go, because, you know, it's easy to say, oh, you know, I can't come this week.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% with that one. Yes,
definitely.
One thing you could.
Sorry, Garrett.
Just say one thing you could think about is sometimes when people are volunteering in our club, we have various. Some people charge, some people don't charge. Sometimes when people are offering their services, we give them free lessons. In other words, if they run a session, we'll give them a free session themselves. So that's another thought that you could add into the.
Yeah.
Jonathan?
Yeah, Ned. Yeah.
Yeah, on the NGS matter, I think you need to stop transmitting this fear of the NGS to either the mentors or the new players. The NGS takes care of this, surely. I love playing with twos. I'm a teacher, I'll play with anybody. But you love playing with twos because if you can marginalize the two and declare more than you should, and you will because they won't bid, um, you can easily beat the NGS with low ranked players, and it should be an opportunity, not a threat. You shouldn't be worried about your NGS. You should be challenged by it to actually get your player over the line, which will be suitably low because they're suitably low partnering you. So think of the NGS as a challenge, not a fear that you might get degraded. And if you're degraded, so what? Is the whole country looking at your NGS? Just feel that you're a teacher and you're enabling people to play bridge. So that's that. On the charging matter, for the last 20 odd years, I have had no income other than what I get from putting on bridge for other people. So yes, I charge. In London, we're in a very privileged market. It's a big long tail market. Around London, there's enough players who will want to play bridge. And I'm one of the groups that I'm pitching to is younger professionals. And you're competing then to get them to not go to the pub, not go to the cinema, to not go to a restaurant for a night out. They happily pay £10. And I do that on a session by session basis. I can't be bothered to say it's a course. It's ongoing. It's every week. If you come, Bridge will be here, and we will welcome you, and the group welcomes you, and just keep coming. And when you've ticked the bridge box and you do want to go to the pub or the restaurant, so be it. But 20 years' time, they will have played bridge in the past, and they'll be ready to come back to bridge and go on. Everybody gets busy lives and family and sport. And uh, think of the hooking on points of bridge. You hook on because you're in a new place. You hook on to meet new people. You hook on because you're too banged up to play rugby anymore. You hook on because something's happened in your life and you're newly single, and so on and so forth. So all these hooking on points, we've got to be ready for the people who show an interest in bridge at that point. So,
Thank you, Ned. Tony, were you trying to say something?
Sorry. No, well, let's sort of cover that sort of thing. I do think we ought to look hard at charging because I think we do undercharge with bridge, and I think that if we want more teachers and more everything, then we need to find a way of making it viable for people to be a professional. I mean, a rugby coach, for instance, earns about 30 grand a year at the base level, and if we thought a bridge coach should be earning something similar, I think.
I'd scrape up the average wage just about, and pay my tax on it, and I feel that I'm very motivated about spreading the word of bridge, and that's my living. So obviously I'm right behind it, and I'm sure Nikki feels the same way. You're really motivated about spreading bridge to people, not only because it's your income, but it's your passion as well. Surely.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, Andy also raised the question about when you should join up new players to the EBU. We very much want to encourage clubs and teachers to join up their players straight away, and they will get two free years of EBU membership. And we obviously very much hope that after those 2 years they will be playing in the club anyway, and so will be club members, and so would be EBU members that way.
That's a discouraging system, though, Jonathan. But anyway.
Um,
Can I add something?
yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of collaboration needed between the various clubs. The big clubs can host lessons and get the numbers. They can do everything, and that's a fantastic situation. But the smaller clubs can't do it, not in the same way, because they haven't got the resources, they haven't got the facilities, and so on. So you need to have a good liaison between the clubs. And it isn't a question of the big clubs just increasing their membership. What they have to do, they have to be benevolent enough to say, yes, we're doing it on behalf of the smaller clubs as well. because it's the smaller clubs that need to survive.
I'm willing to do Learn Bridge a weekend anywhere. If your club wants a boost of new members and you want to put bridge on in a pub or bridge on in your club room, yeah, just send for somebody who can teach them, and we'll get them going. But I won't do it unless you promise me that you've got an outlet for them and that there will be a follow-up supervised play group. You cannot teach people bridge and abandon them.
Yeah, thank you, Ned. That's I'll take you up on that offer.
I've done it as far afield as Bridgewater and Solihull and you know, I've done it at Folkestone. I've done it all over the place. My leverage in the weekend.
Right, Jim Downs is waiting.
I just wanted to comment on what we do at Horsham on the pricing thing. The way we looked at it is how much would you pay if you went to a French lesson, the adult education. So we charge £100 for the course, which is slightly cheaper than what you would do at if you went to adult education lessons to learn French or Spanish or something. The other thing we do is when you join a course, you automatically become a member of the club. We do that for administrative convenience because then we'll get everybody's details and we can communicate through the club system. But when they join the club, they also become a member of the EBU straight away. With the advantage of that, they get into the system and they can continue on.
Thank you, Jim. Right. I mean, we're happy to stay on and talk if people have got more questions. We're also happy to open it up if people have got questions for Mary or I or Richard about other topics. We're happy to discuss those as well. But I think we can probably bring an end to the formal meeting. And I'd just like to thank you all very much for attending. As I say, we will send out all the links, and we'll also send out details fairly soon about the date and the topics for the next webinar. But yes, just like to thank you all for attending. And as I say, Mary and I and Richard will stay if people have got any questions about this or anything else that you'd like to ask us.
Do let us know if you would like us to cover a particular topic at subsequent sessions. Yeah.
Can I throw another suggestion out then, since we're winding down?
Yes.
You get your beginners playing and you get your club players playing, and the club players can play to a club standard, but single day focus sessions are very useful. You say Sunday or Saturday we'll have a session on splinter beats and Jacoby, for example. And you do that as a single day session and that's done. And then next time you say, we'll have a session on doubles or whatever. But these single day sessions, which are like it's not a commitment to the player. It's just available knowledge to the player and they can come along and do the single session. And it's less stressful on the teacher that way as well. You've got your material as it comes.
I'd also like to add a comment that some of the training that we've been doing recently is with U3A members, and we've actually been teaching them how to play on BBO online, because we're working on the assumption that if they start playing bridge, and even if it's just online in their own homes, and doing an hour every evening or an hour once a week, they will eventually become bridge players and become interested in playing the game, and may sooner or later turn up at a club.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done, Fred. Do you all know about the rather good app Tricky Bridge? There's an app out there called Tricky Bridge, which is pretty cool, and it teaches American bidding. But so what? Yeah. But it's a fun app and it's free and it does get people involved. 57 2-minute lessons, and you knock them off about 10 at a time, and it's great. Tricky bridge.
Thanks, no. Thanks. Any other questions or anything else that people would like to ask? Yeah, Jim, go ahead. You're on mute though.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. There's been a lot of talk about how you get this transition from people who are learning bridge to actually start playing in the club sessions. And we've had that problem since we started teaching a number of years ago. People were very happy to come to the lessons and play in a social bridge context, but were very inhibited about coming along to the sort of serious bridge session with all the experienced players. And they found that a bit intimidating. And a way we've found to overcome that is about 6 times a year, we organize our serious bridge session as an improver session, and we advertise it as such. And we invite all our learners to come along and play in a serious bridge session, but with fewer balls at a lower pace. We get our experienced members to know what's happening and to be kind and supportive of the learners. And we also make it a charity evening, so all the proceeds from the table money go to a local charity. And that seems to encourage people to come along. And we've been doing this for over 2 years now, and it's been a great success. And it breaks down the barriers. People meet the experienced players, they play against them across the table. They find that they're really friendly and normal people and not intimidating at all. And it breaks down that barrier. And we've got quite a few people as a result of that have started coming to the regular serious bridge session. And that's been important to us because without that, our serious bridge sessions were becoming a little bit less populated. We're getting fewer tables, and now we're building it back up again. So it's a way that has helped us anyway.
I think that's one of the greatest suggestions of the day, Jim. So I really approve of that.
Can I add to that? Because I think that's a fantastic, Jim. What I'm doing, because I'm doing these 10 sessions in the autumn, my plan is to take en masse everybody that's come to one of our master point sessions where one evening where we're very low numbers, bring the whole in and invite lots of other people who are more experienced to join us to have, and that would be in January probably. And I think that something like that and see how it goes. But your ideas there would be
another thing we
great.
do with those sessions is we make it you don't need to have a partner.
Correct.
So I come along as a host, and I will play with, if there's an odd number of people, I will play with that odd person.
That's what we're going to do. That's a plan.
Nice.
There's one other way of experience of doing that is that you've got your Tuesday afternoon beginner group. And after a year or two, you'll find that it's no longer being a beginner group, and it's not quite appropriate to put complete beginners in because they'll be sniffy about being superior. So what you do is your Tuesday afternoon group, you upgrade them and start playing regular novice duplicate with them. And eventually Tuesday becomes the gentle duplicate day. And meanwhile, Wednesday afternoon has become beginner day. And you start all over again to recycle them. And so you don't ask them to move. You leave them in a familiar place, but you move the bridge conveyor belt on with them.
Yes, I think there is definitely a problem if you don't teach alongside the lessons. We run all our teaching sessions at the same time as the play sessions of the club, and we all have the coffee break together, so they get familiar with the other people in the room, and then the conversion over isn't very much of a problem. Once we finish the lessons, all we do is do some sessions to get them to play fast enough. Because the only thing I think people don't like is if people don't play fast enough. and the speed is the only real problem.
Make all your mistakes quickly.
Right.
Just to add to that, Tony, that's all of that is absolutely superb. What we have done is also we've broken the scoring system into two sections. So we've got a section A and a section B, and we've had all playing the same boards, but the section B don't necessarily play all the boards. They might play one board per round, whereas the others are playing there. But you can get a rating then for each half, for each section. But when they look together and put them in there, some people have got high scores when you actually merge them. And you say, well, you're doing as well as the main room. And it gives them some confidence.
Someone has a very loud clock.
Good. Okay, well, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Mary. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ned. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ned. I think
Good
it's
to talk. Yeah.
been very useful. Thank you.
Yeah, Paymore Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go now. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thanks all. Cheers.
Bye.